If it was necessary that every footstep, every handshake, every eye glance, every word to be uttered during the construction of a building had to be pre-planned, then I will say the first building would yet be unplanned and unbuilt. Now only a fool would say that all such details had to be planned beforehand in a human project. But even these teachers of this fatalistic notion admit that man is so clever that he can accomplish even the most complicated undertaking without such pre-knowledge and pre-planning. But if God undertook carrying out his aeonian purpose without having every minute detail planned beforehand, he would be running in a circle. Yes, so they tell us, logically and inferentially, of course. So after all, man is far more efficient than God. Is it not clear and plain beyond a doubt that a concept that goes to such extremes when carried to its logical conclusion must have a foundation entirely out of level? No, it is not necessary that God predetermine and instigate every thought, desire, motive, and act in order to work out all things according to the counsel of his will. All that is necessary for that purpose is that he is able to control all such movements in and by any and all of his creatures whenever such control is needed. I will defend it to the last ditch that all is out of God, and that he worketh all things in accord with the counsel of his will. But these precious inspired statements do not demand that I believe that God is the direct source, inspirer, and instigation of every sin and evil. That is a human corruption of his word. It is insisting that a certain interpretation is his truth, a subtle denial of his omnipotence. Did you ever think of it that the theory that in order to work out all things according to the counsel of his will, he had necessarily to determine and instigate every detail has a subtle denial of his omnipotence? Why so, you say? If he cannot control and work out his purpose through and by anything else but what he himself has started directly, then he is limited in power. He would be in the same class as a human that must always be on the alert not to start anything or permit anything that he is not able to control. But God is not afraid that someone may start a rock rolling that he cannot stop at any moment. His plan is just the opposite. He says, let them start at anything they can imagine. He that is in the heavens laughs at them and has them in derision. Psalm 2. In fact, it was just this that he wanted. I have created the waster. Why? To destroy, he says. He wants opposition that he may show his strength. Little details, big details. Yes, sometimes, but that does certainly not warrant me to teach that every little detail in life is or may be of great importance. It is too far-fetched an inference. Does the blessed assurance God gives us that he has even numbered the hairs on the heads of his loved ones tell us that he has done the same for every human being? It is not a question if he can do it. Sure he can. But where does it say that he has done it? If he has, then we who are his are of no special interest to him. Let me see it in the scriptures that he has the same care for the ungodly, and I will believe it. But in the absence of such declarations, I should not be indicated as a perverter of God's truth by not believing it. Does the consequences of the cry of the infant Moses warrant me to believe that every cry of every infant in the world is of equal importance in the plan and purpose of God? Does the results of a sleepless night on the part of a certain monarch and the subsequent worldwide consequences of it warrant me to teach that every sleepless night of any and every human being is or may be just as far-reaching in their effects throughout the ages, and that God has preordained every sleepless night, even those which have been caused by downright craziness and dissipation? If I find it in the scriptures, I will surely believe it. Please notice, I do not say that any of the teachings that I have had in mind while writing this comes bluntly out and stretches God's predetermination to the extremes that I have tried to refute in this article. But here is what I find time and time again. Folks write me to refute what I have said in regard to these subjects and urge me to read this and that article and this and that paper to see that it is just what it means, that all is out of God, that he does predetermine and instigate every minute detail in the universe, nothing excepted. In other words, that is the idea that a good many get out of these articles. I have had in mind, and by a great many personal conversations, I find the same. Whether the authors of such articles really desire to create that concept or not, it is there, created and maintained by such writings. I hope that this is understood, that I do not charge anyone with the intentional desire to formulate the fatalistic theories that I have dealt with here, but that is nevertheless the results in the minds of a great many. I leave it then to these fellow servants and to others to judge if or not there is something wrong with such presentation. If these writers have deliberately aimed at creating the fatalistic doctrines, that they have attained just what they sought. If they have not, the results are there just the same. May then this article be used by the Lord to open the eyes of some who have been enslaved by this unscriptural concept, and help many to shun and avoid it as a direct emanation from the arch enemy.